Hello. Yeah. So hi everyone. This is Prashant here. I'm one of the co-founders at Snapper and at IBI. Thank you so much for joining in. So before we begin the webinar, I really want to have this session to be very interactive because our topic is how to build a career in blockchain. So I want like maybe one by one you all could just unmute yourself and also kind of talk about that. What are your expectations? How did you start your journey in blockchain? What are the challenges you guys faced, and how did you overcome it? So I really want this to be an interactive session because we have a lot of other peers as well and other friends as well who have joined in, and they would also really want to know about your experience. So maybe we could just start one by one. So Abhijat, are you there? Hello. Aniket, Durga, hello, Jim, Mohammed, anyone would like to kind of,
Sure. This is Jim.
yeah,
I played with Hyperledger Fabric a little bit, which I like the framework. I like its scalability compared to the other blockchain platforms, and it fits the enterprise space pretty well. The bigger thing is trying to figure out, from my perspective, how to define value add opportunities for blockchain in enterprise scenarios. So I have no interest in cryptocurrencies or anything like that, but the enterprise platforms looking at blockchain and maybe also how to use tokens and how tokens can add value to some of the networks. And the concept is some of these blockchains are not going to be ecosystems like the Walmart Food Trust. Many of them are just going to be internal applications within a corporation. And that's it for me.
Oh, okay. So Jim, to add further, would you like to just, give a quick introduction about yourself and your background so our other, friends can also understand, where are you coming from, and, what do you do, and, what's your more perspective is about. So I understand totally that you are coming from more from, enterprise perspective, that, how you can leverage blockchain, how you could use, different aspects of the blockchain, what are the potential use cases, and what is the ultimate business value which you could get, adopting the tech, right? But would be great if you can just also, just a bit, elaborate your background, because you seem to have a really very diverse and rich background. So I think that would be great because we have a lot of other youngsters as well, who can kind of, learn from your experience.
Yeah, I do have I'll call it a broad background in a lot of things. So I've worked in consulting on, I'll call it packaged applications like ERP systems and stuff like that. Also worked a lot in infrastructure and data services. So database, data services, data architecture, analytics has been more of a focus. And then I added blockchain or started adding blockchain, I guess, as a set of capabilities around data management and trusted data. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim. So anybody else would like to kind of share their experience on how did they start their journey with blockchain? What are the challenges they are facing, and what they're looking forward, from this webinar? Durga, Aniket, Mohammed, anybody would like to speak?
Are you able to hear my voice?
Yeah, Durga, yes, we can hear you well.
Yeah, hi. Actually, I'm the background of Unix admin.
Okay.
And recently, I saw your post and regarding this about the blockchain career and the growth like that.
Okay.
And recently, one of my friend suggested me to join on this technology, and I don't know whether it's useful as for the Unix admin or not.
Okay. So So you are still at a very early stages of exploring the technology and what is the potential of this tech. So are you looking this more from your career perspective, from your job perspective, or from your self-learning perspective?
No, I'm looking for the job perspective.
Job perspective. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Durga, for joining in. So I know what are you looking at. So maybe I know now how to kind of drive this webinar, right? So any other friends who would like to kind of share their experience before we move on?
Yeah, my name is Mithun.
Yeah,
So I'm from commercial banking background.
okay.
So I just want to understand, how the banking industry is is moving to blockchain technologies. So, and what are the different blockchain technologies currently, banks or the enterprises are adopting, and to know more about the career, how it will be in blockchain.
Okay. Thanks, Mithun. I got it. So did you start exploring blockchain already?
Yes, I started, we have multiple blockchains, like public, private, and hybrid blockchains. So, um, I just had some overview of the blockchain technologies.
Okay, great. Got it.
Yeah.
Good. So we also have Srinivas, who just texted, just messaged me, and he has 19 plus years of experience in IT, and he's into BFSI part. So I think a lot of interest is coming from banking and the financial services, and we have Jin, who is looking for more from kind of consulting perspective. Okay, that's great. So any other friends who would like to kind of share your experience? I think we have quite a good audience here. So the new ones, Sricharan, Srinivasan, Yuvraj, anybody would like to join? Would like to share their experience.
Hi, this is Sri Chandan.
Okay. Hi,
Hello.
Sricharan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, Sricharan. Yes, you are audible.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, thanks. It's a great link I came across to find out more about blockchains. I'm a supply chain management consultant, so work in the supply chain management space. So, and these days, supply chain is moving into more of blockchain, artificial intelligence, IoT. So there's going to be a good confluence of lot of technologies which are coming in, and blockchain is one of the technologies. They say that it's a shared ledger where the data which you share with your suppliers and all that can be uh, put in the blockchain, and you cannot repudiate your data later on. So, but I have not come across any specific business case where people have been using blockchain for supply chain management. So my interest would be to know more about how this can be used in supply chain management.
Okay, great. So I think Jim has mentioned earlier about a very great success story and a case study, which is about IBM Food Trust. So they have created a blockchain platform to kind of track and trace uh, basically the entire supply of food, or basically agriculture. Right, it moves from from your farmers to the entire manufacturers to the end consumers and retailers. So they have created entire blockchain platform and a network which has connected all the stakeholders onto the same ecosystem. So just to summarize how you can use is just to kind of bring more transparency, so everybody's kind of on the same page when it comes to kind of verifying or establish the authenticity of every produce in the supply chain. But of course, in supply chain there are a lot of other use cases as well, which I will kind of brief during my webinar. Okay, thanks, Sri Chandan. Thank you so much for joining in. Thanks a lot. Okay, so I think now, in interest of time, I would like to start. So I will just share my screen. So if anybody who cannot see my screen or feels any disturbances, you can just write me on my private chat, and then so that I can cover it up. And maybe after every, at the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A. So you can just have your Q&A prepared, and you can maybe also uh, type your Q&A in the chat box. So I can just have a look, and we can also have a one-to-one discussion. So I would request to kind of everybody to just kind of mute yourself, so there's not much disturbance around, and okay, guys, great. So just to begin with, just a second. So just let me go to full screen. Okay, so I think a lot of you might be at a very, I would say, from medium to advanced stages, since you have a lot of industry experience and background and already started to establish and learn about blockchain, right? So this webinar, could might be used to you for your exact needs or something, but this is more focused for initial people, right, who are looking forward to start their career and learn more about blockchain. But of course, since now I know the diverse background, I will try to kind of link it up with a lot of different use cases, different business scenarios, so we can understand and connect with each other better. But anyways, now I know about your feedback. I would see if we can organize a different or a separate webinar on the business value and the things like that from the blockchain, purely from enterprise perspective. So, guys, like, blockchain, to learn any tech or blockchain is like a very simple process. So you just need to find, first, the most important thing is that to find a right aspiration. So by this, what I mean is that we need to decide that what is the area we want to build our practice upon. So whether are we looking to be a developer, or are we looking forward to be a consultant, or are we looking towards to be a freelancer or an architect, right? So finding a right aspiration is most important thing when we talk about learning any other tech, not only blockchain. But of course, since blockchain is a very complex technology, you need to have a right starting point, and also to to build your foundation upon. So this is the most important thing. The other important thing is, of course, research and search. So Google and internet is full of a lot of data, a lot of information. You could go to a lot of YouTube channels, you could go to a lot of forums and just read about the blockchain. You can connect with a lot of influencers as well. So this is the other way to kind of learn. And the most important thing is the step number 3 and 4 is where you need to pick up the right platform and modules, right? So blockchain is like, have growing fast, and, is now at a stage where the adoption is coming very fast. And there are a lot of different kinds of platforms and modules available. Like you have Ethereum, Hyperledger, Hashgraph, Ripple, and all of these blockchain platforms have a lot of different use cases, both from enterprise perspective and also from, public, and from, more from token perspective as well. And apart from that, every platform has got a lot of different modules as well. Like if you talk about the Hyperledger, right? You have Hyperledger Fabric, you have Hyperledger Sawtooth, you have Hyperledger Indie. So a lot of different modules also have their own, own importance, and every module has own different types of use cases as well. So after you know what you want to become and you have done your enough research, it's very important to pick up your right specialization area, and along with that, right modules as well. So you know that where you are heading to, and are you aligned with your goals or not. And the other thing is that, right, if you're looking forward to build your career, or from enterprise perspective, if you're looking forward to start your practice, and you're looking at training your employees for better service of your customers or your clients, it's also very important that you pick up the right certification program or the right learning partner, so they can kind of custom curate the program or the certification suiting your enterprise need. But more from individual perspective, after you know what you want to become, what you want to do, and are you looking forward to start your own practice, become a consultant, job, freelancer, or an entrepreneur, you could also pick up the right certification program and decide whether you need a certification or not. And the most important thing is that after you learn all of that, you just need to keep practicing. So you just need to, maybe you could just get engaged with a lot of use cases. Maybe you could just get involved with community and just try to involve yourself at different level across the use cases, right, from your POC to the way it is being deployed, and etc., depending upon your aspiration. So practice is the most important element as well. After you learn the subject, you just need to keep practicing. But the most important thing, what boils down to is that, what is blockchain? Why do we need blockchain, right? I mean, so of course, I know that a lot of people know what is blockchain and things like that, but I'm going to cover blockchain from kind of a, different perspective. So my perspective here is that, why you need blockchain and how it is so a tech which is so important, in today's world. So let's take a use case of enterprise or a business, right? So since we have a lot of people from a lot of diversified experience and enterprises, right? I would just like to talk about from this perspective. So it's very important to know the purpose, that why kind of we need to learn blockchain and what is blockchain, right? So right now, if you see, right, every single transaction, like even let you can say a single use case of supply chain management, maybe international trade, maybe banking, or maybe remittance, or etc., right? So right now we work, every single business transaction, every single businesses work with a lot of other businesses and and the biggest challenge is that all these organizations and businesses, like, they work in silos, meaning their system or their data might not be connected with other participants across a business network. Like, for example, if I want to move money from India to New York, I have a lot of other banks and intermediaries which are involved. So it's similarly a case of supply chain. Like, if I take food trust supply chain, there are a lot of participants involved. Like, you have farmers, you have warehouse storages, you have logistics, then you have manufacturers, and then you have retailers, consumers, etc. Now, the biggest challenge is that all these participants are not connected with each other. They are just connected within their internal organization level, but not at a business level, right? So every single time, whenever a transaction or whenever a reconciliation has to be done for any particular event or a transaction, that is logically or practically not possible to make it real time, because there is a biggest issue with every enterprises and every businesses, which is trust. So every enterprise or business would say, why should I connect my data with other parties' record? Because the data might get hacked, or they might tamper the data, or they might modify the data, or they might steal the data, right? So there's a lot of different concerns. And blockchain is exactly that technology which is required to, address this concern, because it connects every participant across the ecosystem by creating a big business network around. So, like, for an example, what internet today is, that internet is connected us to information, but through internet we need a lot of different types of applications to move this information, to move this value. So blockchain is eventually kind of creating an internet of trust and internet of value, where one participant could actually move their digital assets or business assets. So any business, for them, the biggest asset is data. So blockchain enables them to move that data securely among all the participants across the ecosystem, by connecting them, everybody, onto a same network, or enabling them to share a single version of truth. So the entire audit trail is available, and also most important thing is the decentralization, meaning one particular party cannot modify all to the data. And that is the most biggest advantage, because now these enterprises can also trust each other, and because of its cryptography and built-in hashing which comes along, this makes it very, very highly secured. So these are one of the biggest reasons that why enterprises would need blockchain. And on the top of that, if I have to add some more perspective from more from cybersecurity background and everything, right? So I have a very diverse tech background and experience, right? And also, I have just recently completed my cybersecurity program, and as an analyst, and I've been practicing it for a while. So the biggest challenge is that even cloud or any other infrastructure today are, if I talk about, is that they are resistant to single point failure, meaning, like, for example, we have seen incidences sometimes where AWS or Amazon is down, or maybe Microsoft cloud is down, and they're hacked, and etc., etc. And it's after that event it becomes really impossible to kind of recover your data, because you have relied on them to store your data, though they have different backups, but still they are resistant to failures. So on blockchain, how it's going to work and how it works is that, since every participant is storing the same copy of the data, which is in an encrypted manner, and which is also protected, meaning the original owner who has the keys or access to that record can access it, and can modify or alter the data. So because of which, since everybody's sharing the same copy of the truth or a data in a business network, even if 4 participants are down out of 6, still the entire business network can operate, meaning there is 100% uptime guarantee. And also there is resistant to single point of failure. So let's say if anybody goes down, he can just insert his keys and can retrieve the data from his peers. Hence blockchain is creating a peer-to-peer network which is very highly secured, and also which is very highly scalable. So since now all businesses are purely data driven, we need blockchain to connect with each other. Now, of course, you might think that you have Oracle, you have SAP, and you have a lot of other tech, right? But Oracle of Enterprise A is not connected with the Enterprise B. Why? Because of course there is trust issue. So to build this gap, you need blockchain, because it connects the entire business network. So in very simple, business terminologies, blockchain is purely built upon basic business concepts. So it has a business network, since it connects every participant across the same system. And the 3 biggest thing which makes blockchain so valuable compared to any other technology is that one, it's smart contracts. Two, it's crypto assets or digital assets, and three, because of its ledger, which is a DLT. So the contracts could be of your smart contracts. So all the contracts could be just executed with just based on certain parameters. So as soon as these parameters or event triggers, all your contracts is executed now, which means you don't have any other conflicts. So like for example, in supply chain, if I take a use case of international shipping, right, there is always challenges from insurance, and a lot of other people try to do fraud by issuing fake letter of credits and etc etc etc. Now if everybody is connected onto a same ecosystem, right, nobody would be able to do it, because as soon as they try to modify the record or issue anything fake which is not there on the business network or which is not a part of a contract, system will immediately trigger a red alert and say this is not valid. So all these things, fraudulent activities, could be protected. And also your contracts could be executed in real time, meaning you don't have to rely on third party anymore. So which means there is very high efficiency across the system. Two, as I said, assets. So all your assets is like digitized. They all have cryptography keys, etc. So which makes it very very easy to kind of monitor, move your assets around. And the other most important thing is network, which is a DLT. So it's creating a distributed ledger, decentralized network where everybody's connected with each other. And also there is everybody, since is sharing the same copy of the data or the same copy of the truth, there is higher level of trust, there is higher level of efficiency and also transparency. So this is kind of a value what blockchain brings and why blockchain is needed. So any other so before I kind of dive that further, I would like to take a few reasons that why blockchain could be one of the biggest revolutions, or probably the bigger revolution than the internet, or as big as internet, right? So one of the biggest reason is that the blockchain is creating the internet of value. So why I would say in that way is that, see, traditionally what we are using today, internet, is internet of information, or internet of internet of information. So the biggest problem with this internet of information is that all of the data and whatever we see today, we cannot actually create an asset around it, and we cannot share it with anyone. So we rely on a lot of third parties and middlemen to kind of verify this information and trust. Like still we use internet, which has a lot of information today, but a lot of information still pirated, distributed, copied, etc., etc., without original authors or the owner's authorization, right? But hence, if it's on the blockchain, right, what you could potentially do is, now since this asset is now has a cryptography keys, it's now a digital asset, it has keys, and now the ownership or the movement could be tracked. So hence, with blockchain, we are moving from internet of information to internet of value, where one could actually move information, the ownership of the data, one could assign the ownership of the data across the internet, and can share, exchange the information or your data. So you could basically now unable to transfer the ownership of your data and determine who has what kind of access when we talk about data, because the entire internet, the world is moving towards data economy. And of course, one of the other reasons is that it's a cutting edge tech. So by this, what I mean to say is that since we move towards an era of AI, IoT, etc., 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 right? And blockchain is kind of a universal data infrastructure. So this would serve as a backbone for a lot of emerging technologies like AI, IoT, and a lot of other techs as well. And most important thing is that, so if you're more concerned about data privacy, data security, and things like that, so blockchain is actually for you. So blockchain is kind of because of its cryptographic nature, all the data is kind of protected and things like that. And also the hacker, if they have to kind of hack the entire network, they just have got limited time before another block is added to the chain. So which means that they would require a brute force computing to kind of bring the entire business network down. So hence blockchain is creating this the best data security we could ever imagine. and also digital identity. So a lot of the people's personal data, sensitive data, could be encrypted, could be protected, and could be shared with only the people who have the authorization to use, like traditionally where we are exposed to a lot of hacks and things like that. And also, reason number 4, it's creating impact on all industries. So by this, what I mean is that since now we understand that blockchain is kind of creating a universal data infrastructure, and data is now an oil or an important element for like for almost all businesses across. So its use cases, like it could have like potentially diversified use cases ranging from banking, financial services industry to energies and utilities and etc. Right. So this is kind of the most important thing, I would say, because its use cases is so diversified, and you could think of implementing blockchain everywhere where you have, or where you think of a lot of business participants, or that you need to connect your system or your data with other parties' records and share, etc., etc. So you could think of implementing blockchain wherever you have multiple parties, multiple participants across an ecosystem. And also, if you're an entrepreneur and also looking forward to start your own venture or career and things like that, as per various reports, basically HFS research report, it is said that the blockchain is one of the most valued emerging technologies. Why? Because blockchain is very complex, and there is uh, a lack of availability of light, talent pool, skilled resources, etc. So any person like who just know what is blockchain, they claim themselves to be expert, but in reality blockchain is such in-depth tech that you need to know so many things, right from setting up your business network to what kind of an encryption library you need to know, how you need to create your blocks, etc., etc. So many things. So it's so complex, and you have very limited talent pool available. So because a lot of reasons, it is considered one of the most valued emerging tech. So generally the valuations for blockchain companies are like about 125 times more, 125x to their revenue. So let's say if a revenue of a company is $1 million, blockchain company valuations could be like $125 million. So this is what, one of the reasons behind blockchain. And one of the, also the biggest reasons is, it's kind of creating the economy of the era. So like over 25% of the global banks will start use blockchain by 2020. 10% of the global GDP will be stored on blockchain by 2025 by World Economic Forum, and it could also provide over $3.1 trillion of business value in next 10 years. So, now the thing is that a lot of businesses have started to realize the adoption of blockchain. They know, what are the right use cases, where to use. So the adoption is increasing super fast. And also it's like, now the blockchain is also being treated across every geography, like all around the world. And the good part is that India is also leading the space in a lot of use cases, POCs happen, but of course United States is the leader and at the forefront, followed by Europe. And also now there are also a lot of myths when we talk about blockchain, that blockchain is quite new tech. There are not a lot of strong ecosystem there. It is still growing, maturing, and things like that. What I would say is that what this slide shows is that the ecosystem in the blockchain space is like pretty very strong now. You have all the Fortune companies to a lot of startups, including one of our startups, Snapper, which is listed in the report as one of the top blockchain companies, right? You have a very strong ecosystem. You have a lot of academia who are like top institutions, Ivy Leagues, teaching about blockchain, researching on blockchain. You have top software companies, consulting firms, etc. So blockchain is now a very big space and an industry itself. And also, like professionally, if you're looking forward to have a better job and look forward for growth in your career, of course blockchain is for you. So there is like super high demand for blockchain experts, and as per Upwork, Hired, and a lot of other reports, blockchain is the number one skill in demand, and the growth is like exponentially high. And also, if you go through, like compare or see the LinkedIn report, it clearly shows the demand for blockchain developers is like 3 times more compared to machine learning engineers. And the top skills in demand are like Solidity, blockchain, Ethereum, cryptocurrency, and Node. Since we also see there are a lot of other cryptocurrency startups which is coming up, and also we are moving forward from cryptos to more regulated form of crypto offering, which is securitized token offerings and things like that. We could see a tremendous growth. So this is what the potential of blockchain and why you could kind of potentially build a career to blockchain. So now before we talk about us and everything, I would like to just have a quick Q&A from the audience and the people. You could just probably unmute yourself and can just have any of your questions or something like that, so we could just have interaction and make it more interactive, and I would be happy to clarify your doubts and questions ahead. So I'm co-founder of Snapper. So Snapper is basically an enterprise blockchain company. We have been in the space since 2016. And when we started our journey, right, it was so difficult to start it, to find the right talent pool, and most importantly, the right way to train your resources. Like I have gone through a lot of certification program, a lot of programs, and the biggest problem with all those programs is that one, either they are like outdated and they don't have latest content. Like for example, if you're using now Fabric version 2.0, maybe they might still cover Hyperledger Fabric 1.0 or 0.0.4. So a lot of programs are like pre-recorded. They're not live programs. They don't have failed to establish personal touch and etc. So what we decided at Snapper, like we kind of created an internal training program for ourselves, but we realized that it's really also important for the community to kind of know and understand that this what this tech is. So we decided to kind of start and launch IBI, Indian Blockchain Institute, right? So I will come to that later, but I would just want to give a brief background about the company behind this certification program and IBI. So we are a part of US based NM Tech group. So we are a $300 million group, which and pure expertise is into emerging tech like AI, cloud, blockchain, IoT. And Snapper is one of the companies which is purely focused on blockchain. So we have worked with, we have over 400, 350 plus team members, 400 now. We have delivered 150 plus projects. We have worked with Fortune companies worldwide. And our products and solutions which we have developed, like kind of typical use cases, range from supply chain to banking. So in supply chain, you have kind of real-time food traceability. So a lot of other supply chain cases apart from international trade or food trust is like identifying counterfeit medicines, or maybe identifying counterfeit products across the supply chain. The other use cases could be contractual management or smart contracts, like you could have a contract between a party and a party B, and which is put parameters, or as soon as these event triggers, the contract would be settled. We have been also actively working in the e-governance space, which is property records, vehicle tracking, and also issuance of a lot of property certificates, ownership certificates, and verification of them using blockchain. And we have developed products across healthcare and of course banking. So in banking, we have insurance, loyalty programs, we have crowdfunding. So even the entire finance landscape is like changing with a lot of crowdfunding. So ICO has already changed the way people have raised money. Now we are moving towards more regulated form of offering, which is STOs. So things like that. And also our work's been recognized like with so many awards, covered everywhere. And so we believe that creating important and a vibrant community is the most important part of it. And this is one of the reasons we started IBI, so we could create an awareness and also we can educate. But we also have a blog called snapperpus.com, which is like a Bloomberg for blockchain and crypto world. This is like one-stop shop for all your blockchain, cryptocurrency news analysis. And our news from blockchain perspective is purely targeted towards the use of enterprise kind of use cases, success stories, and how blockchain is being adopted, implemented by various enterprises. So we also focus more on the tech part of it apart from crypto. So I will just kind of would like to drive you through our Indian Blockchain Institute. So as I told that we launched Indian Blockchain Institute because we felt that there is a gap, like that people and everybody, even the experts, practitioners, professionals, everybody would kind of need a right certification program which is very latest, most importantly, and also which comes from a blockchain company, right? The program is entirely curated from our experience, from our failures, and we really understand what it takes to be a blockchain expert. So the most important thing is that we have covered almost the entire aspect of the program. So you could just log on to our website, indianblockchaininstitute.com, select what is your interest or what you're looking forward to. If you're an admin, you could select what certification you're looking at, maybe an Ethereum or Hyperledger. So you need to choose that whether you are more focused or you want to more focus on public blockchain ecosystem, more tokens and things like that, then probably Ethereum is best. But if you're looking forward to have more focus from enterprise perspective, you could go with Hyperledger. So if you're looking at, an architect, solutions engineer, we have a dedicated separate program for blockchain solutions architect. Also, you could select a lot of program modules, what you want to learn, at what stage you are in. Maybe like as Jim mentioned, he's more interested in knowing the enterprise use cases, right? So he could select a module which is purely focused around enterprise use cases. What is the potential business impact? So we discuss the potential use cases from its depth, right from the technical level, connecting it to the business level, and what is the real value proposition we are talking about. And we also have a lot of programs from technical perspective, like from hands-on, how you could deploy a Hyperledger net fabric network, deploy nodes, etc., etc. And also, if you are in enterprise, or if you also, so what I'll be really grateful if you know a lot of any enterprises or any schools, colleges who are looking forward for conducting a blockchain program. We do a lot of free sessions across a lot of corporates, a lot of enterprises, and a lot of colleges, just to create awareness about the blockchain. So we do a blockchain workshop where we talk about the importance of blockchain, what is blockchain, and why do you need blockchain, things like that. So I would be really grateful if you can just maybe nominate your enterprise where you're working at for this, and our team will be glad to get in touch with you. So you can just go to our website, select for corporates or for individuals, and then you can just connect with us. So I'll be really grateful for this. And also, if you have any other queries, any other doubts with respect to joining the program and about the program, the entire curriculum, everything is there on the website. You could still connect with me, and you could still drop me an email. So yeah, guys, this is it. I would really look forward to see you at IBI if you're learning forward to learn blockchain. We offer, so our purely focus is to offer live classes. So we do live classes online as well as offline at a center in Pune. So you could just opt in for any of this. So all you need to do is maybe you could just select your aspiration. You could just go by a platform what you're looking at, what certification you're looking at, and also you could select by modules. So we give complete customization and complete flexibility depending on at what stage you are at. So yeah, thank you so much. So any other questions so far?
Yeah, Hyperledger just announced their own admin certification certificate and training course that goes with that for Fabric and Sawtooth.
Yeah, correct. So in admin, Jim, yes, we do cover Hyperledger Fabric. We do also cover, so we cover almost the entire Hyperledger umbrella projects. So you could just select admin and then maybe Hyperledger. So we would cover the entire Hyperledger for you. So there are a lot of other Hyperledgers, I would say initiatives under Hyperledger umbrella, like you have Hyperledger Ursa, you have Hyperledger Sawtooth, you have Hyperledger Indy, you have Hyperledger Fabric. So we cover everything under that program in depth. Yeah, and also, yes, you are right that Hyperledger offers their own admin certification program now. However, I would say there's a lot of difference. One is that in terms of course, so whatever program Hyperledger is offering right now, it's kind of a pre-recorded session, and a lot of content on it is possibly outdated because Hyperledger has a lot of different platform updates and upgrades on a daily basis. And our focus is purely to provide live classes, so you get to interact with the right faculty experts, with the people who are working on the project. So all our faculties and everything are highly experienced faculties. They are dedicated, and they are ex-IBMers, Accentures, Apple, Googleers, and so on. So they are particularly focused, and they have specialization on each and every aspect of the Hyperledger. So what I could guarantee you is that the knowledge, the insights which come from us, because of its being a personal classes and personal touch, and also the price being almost the same, right? It doesn't make much difference. But of course, we have a better, higher quality content, and I could give you or assure you a money back guarantee if you're not satisfied with whatever we do, because this has purely come from our experience of practicing the blockchain and the challenges which we still feel on a day-to-day basis. So we have kind of incorporated our entire experience, and we have brought this program to life. Yeah. So any other question, guys? So I hope, Jim, I answered it well.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So any other questions so far? I think I'm assuming there are no questions. In case if you have any other questions, any other queries, or any other doubts, you could just drop me an email, and I'd be just glad to know. So I'm just dropping in my email for everyone, so you could just drop me an email for any other query, and everything. And I would really look forward to also involve at your enterprise level, and you can nominate your enterprise for a free workshop, right? And we could, spread this blockchain. So I have dropped an email for everyone. You could just drop me an email. You could just also drop me the feedback from this webinar, and also what are the other webinars you are interested in looking at, which you'd like to join. So I would also try to cover a lot of different use cases, maybe in the coming webinars, depending upon the interest from the community. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, for your time, and really appreciate it. So I'm signing off.